We got Sean.
They got friends. This is awesome. Oh, there's kids on
What's
screen.
up,
I'm
man?
fine. I'm happy now. That's all I need.
Don't encourage him.
You can't not. I come pre-encouraged. Whenever Kiss is shown, I immediately. It's like
I did my research. I knew Hal was a big Kiss fan.
You didn't know?
I did know. That's why I did that.
Oh yeah, you did. Yes. It's I'm my first Kiss album I bought when I was 5 years old. The first thing I ever bought with my own money at a flea market in Friendship, Indiana. It was the original album, and I saw every tour since 1980.
Whoa! Oh my goodness.
Wow.
First one I saw was Rupp Arena. My mom took me because I was a huge Kiss fan. I dressed up as Kiss, with three of my friends in elementary school, and we would dress up as them, and we would perform Alive 2. It was Alive at that point. Alive on desks, because those would be the big platforms.
Yeah.
And then for our school, we'd lip sync the whole thing for the school. I did my multiplication tables, my 3s and my 4s, dressed as Paul Stanley. True story.
Oh, that's awesome.
True story.
I
was
love
on
that.
That's true. I was on the radio station. We had a guy who called himself Dr. Love, and he would, in Frankfort, Kentucky. He was the local DJ, and he heard about this, and all four of us came down there in costume, and we introduced I think when Destroyer came out, like he had us dressed. We were dressed up on radio.
Awesome.
On radio.
To introduce, and there's a picture of me circulating around when I'm, like 9 years old, as Paul Stanley with my little like Jackie Chan haircut, in my long underwear with the chest cut out of it that my mom made, and my painted galoshes, and my rain boots painted with wood soles stuck to
That's
them.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I could not have been prouder, and I still am.
Wow.
And years later, so start there. The reason we got tickets to the show, my dad is an architect for the state of Kentucky.
Uh-huh.
My dad designed the first 2 fully solar homes in the whole country. They were in Kentucky. They're built into the side of a hill. They're hot, insulated by the hill. It's hillbilly solar. So he did that. He worked for the state, and he repaired all the old buildings. So we would make like square nails in a crimp in the backyard, like with a little press that my dad had. And my dad and I would sit and make square nails to fix the old library building when I was a kid. And across from his office at the government was the Film Commission. And Kiss films all their shows. They always have. But they had to get permits in some countries, or in some states. Some states didn't give a shit, but some you had to. If you want to film anything, you've got to get a permit. Didn't cost you anything most of the time, perfunctory, but they did it.
Right.
And a lot of times, with Grease the Wheels, they'd give tickets. But the guy who ran the office was a born-again Christian and thought they were Knights in Satan's service, and was
Right.
freaked out by them. And so he wouldn't even let the tickets in his office. They were in that little letter holder outside on the wall.
Oh my
And he
gosh.
literally wouldn't even lean out the door when the guy dropped them off. They were in an envelope. And he goes, "Sparks, hey Sparks, I know your kid likes that devil music. There's some tickets if you want them there in that thing right there." And my dad got them, and there were 2 tickets. And they were okay, but they were like the kind of seats you give to government employees.
Right.
They're up, like on the side stage, whatever. And my mom is very attractive. And she took me to the show in like this little halter top thing or whatever. And she was like, we were very disappointed in the seats or whatever. I was like, and she was like, "I'll work it out." And she just breezed us right by like 4 security guys because she was so hot. And then 4th row, Paul's side of the stage, right in front of his microphone, 10 years old, arena.
Wow.
And I'm dressed as him, right, in my little outfit. And Paul's playing, and he goes, points right at him. And I would be lying if I didn't say that was a life-changing moment, that being seen by somebody that I was so amazed by made me feel like I existed in the world. And one of the reasons I wanted to become an entertainer was because if I could do that for somebody else too, that's amazing. Like, it wasn't that suddenly I was like touched. My little kid self believed that or whatever. My adult self has some perspective on it.
Right.
If you could give that to somebody else, what a crazy gift.
Yeah.
But you could set in motion, the ripples in that pond, right? And so Paul did that. And fast forward, I've done I Love the 70s for VH1, and
Yeah.
I brought my own Kiss dolls. I'm the only person, like, they brought Kiss dolls in this box. Like, you ever seen these? And I'm like, seen them. I have 2 sets. Paul's got a broken leg because he was having sex with my sister's Barbie. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's a true story. And it was like I would, any Kiss question they had, I just, I will go. So two moments. I dated this girl when I was doing Queer as Folk in Toronto. She moves to Florida. I'm down there doing stand-up. I haven't seen her in years, and we have a very fond, loving friendship now. And I'm like, when I'm coming down, I want to take you to dinner. I haven't seen you in a long time. Check in with you. And I have to go to the radio. We'll go to breakfast because she had a thing. We'll go to breakfast, and I have to go to this radio thing in the morning. I go to do radio to promote my stand-up show.
Uh-huh.
And the guy goes, "Hey, man, I know you're a big Kiss fan. Paul Stanley's on next." And I was like, "Oh, cool. I'll have to listen to it in the car." And he goes, "No, he's coming in." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. What I meant to say was I will be loitering here like a psychotic stalker somewhere near the bathroom." So I literally stand out in the hallway, and I'm assuming he comes in the way I came in. So I'm looking down the hallway like, "There's Paul here. There's Paul here." And I hear behind me, "Hey, Hal." And I turn around, and Paul's like, "That was so great," because when they told me when I was on the air that he was coming, so I just went into my I Love Kiss spiel.
Right.
Like, it was so great. He goes, I'm doing this art show tonight. Do you want to come? And he invited me to his art sale. That's what he was in town for. So he was selling his art. He does his gallery in Miami all the time. And so he's been there several times. He was there, and I was like, yes, I would love to come. So met later, blah, blah, blah. Go down there, and he hit on Vida, my old girlfriend, like the whole time we were there. I was like, dude, come on. It's great. Then I get a text message recently from Richard Marx.
Oh.
And I did celebrity duets with Richard Marx. And he was great. I've always been a fan from Chicago. My ex-girlfriend in Chicago used to babysit his kids. Never met him and stuff. Was random as hell. And he was very cool when we were on the show. And we trained numbers when we had dinner a couple times, but I haven't seen him much since COVID. And I feel like I need you to read this, so it's not me saying it. I want you to read the text. This is the text that he just sent me, like, when is this? This is February. So this is just recent.
Hey, dude. Been so long. I had dinner tonight with Paul Stanley, and our waitress was a middle-aged woman from Mexico who's a fan of yours and said, "Mr. Stanley, do you know how much Hal Sparks loves you?" And Paul said, "I do, actually. Hope you're well, brother." Oh, my God. That's awesome.
I do, actually. Like, oh, baby.
That is awesome.
Oh, my God. I do, actually. And you know what? I went on my show, my live stream that I do that day, like when that came in, and I was like, I got to tell everybody in the audience what this happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know who this woman is. I don't know what the restaurant is, but I need to tell you guys something. Whoever she is, she gets free Nerd Halen tickets for life. And I adore her, and like that's just so lovely. Anyways, but to imagine that bank shot of somebody, he points me out.
Yep.
Yeah.
That show, and then I have an impact on this woman where she's watched me enough on my live stream, which is largely political comedy and that kind of stuff. Like, I definitely go into my, everybody knows I'm a huge Kiss fan, but still,
Yeah.
I've talked a few times about how much it means something to me. It's not just a music choice I have.
Yeah.
There's a depth to it that I will defend till the end. And that had an impact on her, so that in that situation, when she's looking at a table with Richard Marx and Paul Stanley, she is compelled to tell Paul Stanley that I love him. And his response is, I do, actually. I got to tell you, like, it's mind-boggling. That is so epic as a human being.
Ulcer.
10-year-old Kentucky boy, making my way to Chicago, all the way, like, this whole, it's incredible. It was like, and that's one of the best things about liking the kind of music I like, because there's such a family in the rock and metal world that doesn't exist elsewhere.
Yeah, you're right.
Really doesn't. Like, I have a lot of friends who play a lot of different kind of music. They don't have nearly as much fun as we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we caught your show last night. Holy crap! I didn't know you were gonna come out like that. I
Oh,
didn't know you could sing like that.
oh, right, yeah.
Holy!
Sing,
He's
but-
like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that little thing.
Well, yeah, well,
I act, I do this, I do singing, I do
crap!
Well, I would like to say for the record that it is a modern invention that people can only do one thing.
Oh,
There used to be a day in this country where it was expected that actors could
yeah.
dance
right.
and sing and do
Yep.
comedy and drama and television, and they would do a commercial and nobody cared, and it was never no skin off anybody's nose what you were doing. But then this branding bullshit just laser focused everybody into making them almost. You have to. It's not enough that you don't do other stuff. You have to be inept at it.
Yeah.
I was at one point I was going to do a record called "How Dare They," and it was going to be me covering songs by actors who put out songs. So like
Oh.
"Heartbeat" by Don Johnson, and "Rock On," and a Rick Springfield tune.
Yeah.
Anything off "Living in Oz" is fantastic. And like
Yeah. Now you got me.
yeah.
I love Rick Springfield, man.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
so let's talk about the guitar player that is Rick Springfield
Uh-huh.
and the songwriter that is
Yes.
Rick Springfield.
Yes.
And what a beast that dude is live. And secondly, the lyrics that this guy managed to sneak on the radio.
I know, right?
Go look at the written words for Souls.
Yeah.
When I remember being, 14? He held her tighter and tighter as he danced inside her. What the hell did that boy just say?
She
on
knew
that?
from the moment that she let him in.
Yeah, right. I love that fucking song. Allison, like the
Oh.
song about him like having an affair, an
stage.
accidental affair essentially with a girl that he was mixed up with in the soap opera because there was like jealous boyfriend bullshit
Yep.
while they were doing that. Allison's just awesome. And my buddy, so I had a band in high school called seismograph because it's the instrument that measures how rock moves. What's up? And my guitar player is my buddy Johnny Million, who's in Chicago, and he's my radio co-host on my radio show now. We've been friends since high school, and I love him to death. And he's a killer player. And he's got fingers so long they look like the legs of the face hugger in Alien. Like he met Steve Vai, and he's probably a foot taller than Steve Vai. And he was like, "I'm curious, do you mind?" And they put their fingers up, and Steve Vai's fingers were longer than his. Like he's like
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
But like Johnny's a great player. Huge. He got me into Queen when I was in high school. We're both huge Kiss fans.
Mm-hmm.
I became the singer of the band because I was the only one who didn't play an instrument.
Yeah.
And there was a song called "Me and Johnny"
Me and Johnny.
on Living in Oz.
Back in Australia.
Yeah, right. Johnny's still living back in Australia. I hear he's got himself a wife.
I think he is.
I'm still chasing
Whatever
whatever
it
it
is.
They put me out here
You're
on
on
the
the
road
road
in the first place. I love that fucking record. Love it. Living in Oz, like that riff. I've done it at the Ultimate Jam Night. I'm like talked them into letting me do it there.
Really. I remember I got in a lot of trouble. Rick had a contest, like when you could call 1-8. It wasn't 1-800. It was 1 something something something. I want to hear your next lyrics to or next verse to "Living in Oz." The
Yeah.
song "Living in Oz." And I kept calling it and calling it and calling it. It racked up a phone bill. I
Right.
mean, and my parents are like,
What is it?
"What the hell is this?" Well, I'll show you. Oh, I was in so much
Did
trouble.
he wanted to see who knew the second verse? Is that what it was? Or
Yeah, another an extended verse, another verse. to
Oh, yeah, like add your own.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay.
And
He was crowdsourcing back before it was cool.
but also on that, just a few years back, he also had a contest where he said, "Hey, I want to take anybody that wants to do it and have them be my backup singers on my new song, I Hate Myself.
Oh, wow.
And what he did was like, you film yourself, send me the link, and I'm going to extract the audio and you're going to be a backup singer. So I did that.
Awesome.
In lots of different ways. I had some screaming in there. I did some melodic. He's probably like, Randy.
Right.
You know? And a little bit later, the album comes out. I'm in the liner notes.
That's awesome.
Dream come true.
Right.
That's my Paul Stanley moment.
Right.
Rick Springfield moment.
I opened for Rick doing stand up a couple of times,
Oh, wow.
and the irony is it was during Talk Soup, and he autographed something like "To Hal, love you, not in a gay way, Rick Springfield," and then I ended up doing Queer as Folk, and I'm straight, but it was like it became like ironically, I was like, oh yeah, I'll put this one away for a little while so the rest of the cast doesn't get weirded out. I had it hanging on my wall. So yeah, that was in Canada, and interestingly enough, like when we moved up there to do that show, I didn't know I was moving to Canada when I got the show.
Yeah.
They didn't tell us it was filming out of the country. I guess they didn't want you to go, fuck that, move on. They needed you.
Mm-hmm.
So that when I moved up there, I was like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. I'm not going to party with the rest of the cast. If they're going to dance clubs and stuff, it ain't my scene.
Right.
But Triumph, fucking Nickelback,
hell yeah.
You know, all these rock bands. I was like, I'm going to start seeing some live music up here. There was a decent new rock scene up there as well, and Todd Kearns, of course, is a beast up there, and he's incredible. And so I had a fan go, I fell in love with Static and Stereo, which is his band with his brother, and one of my fans was like, oh, if you like that, you're going to love Age of Electric, which was his whole back catalog. And I started seeing live shows, Danko Jones, Nickelback, Theory of a Dead Man, Default, all these bands, SR-71, just going to live music all the time up there. And then they became friends too. Like Danko Jones is such a goddamn sweetheart and such a talented dude.
Yeah.
And just does it. Just does it. Just makes it, so get a Danko Jones record, whoever you are. Everybody out there. And a King's X record.
Nerd Halen.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Okay, so Caleb Rappaport is Nerd Halen. He's our guitar player. And he came up with this a long time ago because he is a nerd for Van Halen. Like he's one of these EVH nerds who's just like, but it was actually the second amp that he did the wiring with the top. That's all these dudes. You've seen them. They're like all these. Tons of podcasts. He's in that circle, and in that circle, he's a player. He woodshedded his whole life to get that style and learn how to do it. And he came up with this idea, and he pitched it to Taylor Hawkins while he was driving an Uber. Caleb was driving the Uber. And Taylor was like, I'm already in a band, obviously. It was the Foo Fighters at the time. And he goes, but it's a great idea. You should totally do this. It's fantastic. I would totally come see it. And he goes, would you jump up and play with us sometime? And he goes, absolutely. Like, again, sad moment that it never happened, but really the support he needed at that time.
Yeah.
And then he was looking for a singer. And he played with us at the Jam, at the Ultimate Jam and the Whiskey. And I would, before I hosted, I would do songs every so often. Usually it was Pauly Z giving me the songs nobody wanted to learn, the highest notes and the most words. And I'm like, I give a shit. Let's do this. Pimp me. I'll give it. Do your worst. So he came to the show when we were doing Rocky Horror for Halloween.
Uh-huh.
And I was playing Brad. Because, of course, Pauly cast himself as Frankenfurter because that's a good song. Anyway, so I'm doing Brad, and I'm wearing glasses, and I'm in a tie. And he goes, he's like, oh, my God, wait a second. You think Hal Sparks would sing in Nerd Halen? And everybody's like, ask him. So he comes up to me like an 8th grade boy trying to ask me to a dance. Like, hey, I don't know, like, you probably don't. Maybe. I don't know if you have this band thing, and maybe if you'd be interested, it's called Nerd Halen, and I need a singer. And I was like, I'll do it. Like before I finished the sentence, I was like, I'm in, because people need effortless joy. And that in and of itself was reason to do it. I was like, of course, that's awesome. What a silly, wonderful thing. And so we started doing it. We did 4 shows, and then COVID hit. And then there's a long pause. And then it was going to be like a hobbyish fun thing or whatever. And then it turned into a beast. Like it became a thing. And we started getting booked. And like super Van Halen fans were like, you play my wedding, that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And then it was like, but you got to play Dreams, and and I was like, okay, let's do this. And then I was like, if we're really Nerd Halen, we got to be the only band that does all 3 singers.
Mm-hmm.
So we added Without You to the set, and that's what it means to us. We're celebrating Eddie's work in all of its iterations, and we're not mocking the music. We're having a good time while playing music that people love to hear. And my rule was, we talked about this in the very beginning, I was like, we can be as silly and funny as we want, as long as it sounds like a record. As long as the fans go, that's what I came here to hear.
Yeah.
As long as the fans, I will not disrespect fans. So, like, we got to nail this.
Yeah.
We had it, Why Can't This Be Love? It was so funny because that got a request from a wedding we did, whatever. And Caleb was like, absolutely not. I will not play. Like all the the super Van Halen fans who just hate the keyboard era stuff, and they're just but like toddler, he just the week before, and then he gets this call literally 3 days later. Did you play this like wedding party? And we need you to play When It's Love, or How Do I Know When It's Love? He was like, will you play it? And he was like, how much money? Oh God. Okay. Yeah. And he called back. We have to learn. How do I know when it's love? Like,
so.
Right. And I'm like, and then we played it, and it's a crowd pleaser. Everybody loves it, and I was like, now you realize why Eddie started adding keyboard stuff, because that's really hard on your hands, and you will wear your arm out, and you need to give yourself a fucking break. It's the same reason Jeff Tate's like second to last album with Queensryche was basically baritone, because they're hoping a couple of those songs are hits, and the fans like them, so you could work them into the set to give them a break.
Yeah.
That's what the keyboard stuff was about. Like, Jesus, if I'm curling my arm all day, every day like this for the rest of my life, it's going to go. At some point, it's going to go. I got to start doing something where I'm stretching. It's like, well, how about that? And it works. And now, like, Caleb gets that because that'll cramp you up. So it was sweet. It was like, and my rule is like, it's got to be for the people who miss that music, being able to see it. Mm. Then we had Nuno Badcourt jump up on stage with us and do Hot for Teacher, and like we've had Jeff Scott Soto sing with us and stuff, and like it's just great. I love the hard rock metal community so much because it's just a family in spite of itself. There's none of that like ridiculous macho R&B dick wagging that goes around. Where everybody's like, it's like diva arm wrestling emotionally all the time.
I agree.
So yeah, so those are that's the long shot. My job is done here. I must move along. I'm being pulled away because I'm far too interesting to sit in one place for very long. Thanks for having me, though. I appreciate it. I didn't even get to find out where the name of the show came from.
Well,
80s.
Yeah, it started as
Bleach Bang. All right, sure. Okay, sure.
Everybody had bangs.
So it's all about Eric Brittingham. Okay, I'm bored. Yep. All right, it's a celebration of the art of Eric Brittingham. Yeah. I'm with you. A little Mike Tramp, but mainly Eric Brittingham. Okay,
yep. You got it.
I'm
nailed
100% in.
Love
it. Bye, people in the fish tank.
Later, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I'll see you guys around. Of course. Yeah. See you again.
Bye. Oh, Lord. So, did you guys want to say something?
I'm
It's echoing really bad out there.